Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Chris on Food Chain versus the Mog Fanatic on 8 cast. Newest kid on the block. I'm currently putting up incredibly good results. The deck, resilient, explosive, just very dangerous, and kind of has game versus everything in the format. Played a lot of Gush Vintage, and I'll tell you, having a bunch of draw twos in your deck helps out tremendously with consistency and resiliency, getting what you need. Also, not really falling prey to attrition that can often happen in game. Cards like Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Ending, just not super exciting when your value at every turn. Versus Saga, starting out as a land uncounterably hitting a legitimate threat. We've got Pithing Needle and Aether Spellbomb turning on Metalcraft, and we've got Construct on turn 2. Pithing Needle, not going to be amazing here, but it is going to stop Walking Ballista from just being an insta-kill. It'll be arbitrarily large. That could be blocked quite a bit. There are Psi tokens, Construct tokens. It's conceivable that even with infinitely large Walking Ballista on board, Food Chain could still potentially lose. Ice Fang is going to slow down these early back and forths as these constructs probably not going to be thrilled to trade with the Ice Fang. Though it's a decision, getting the creature off board does create quite a bit of, what would you say, removes a lot of their explosiveness. So when they top deck Food Chain, if they have a creature on board, they can just end the game on the spot, sacrificing Ice Fang, ramping up, winning. If they don't have a creature on board, Food Chain certainly much less menacing. How he plays it, Shadow Spear, certainly complicate the situation. Life gain, not as important when your opponent's looking to do infinite damage to you, but certainly eliminates any type of mid-range threats. Oboro just played as a land. Another Ice Fang shows up. Probably doesn't feel great. But Emery, arriving on the scene. Value engine here with the Aether Spellbomb if need be. Cast and Thought Monitor. I think at this point, probably not running all 8 casts. They might be down some number. Be a Thought Monitor in hand. Ready to continue drawing for artifacts, making the constructs bigger. All around furthering the game. Ooh, Teferi. That's an answer to a construct token, that's for sure. Answers with tempo, comes in, draws a card, creates a onboard threat. Picking up each turn. Emery. See, Shadow Sphere. I should have queued that up. Thought it was first strike and lifelink. Did just die to the Ice Fang. Oh, maybe it didn't die because of first strike? As I was gonna just pull up. It looks like Prismatic Ending actually hit the Emery. That makes sense. Thought Monitor. Draw a couple cards. Bang, flashing in. Chris rather trade a Force of Will. Mog with just a single card in hand. Versus Saga. Got Mist Hollow Griffin. Down plan really not likely to hold together. Oh, and here's Food Chain for infinite mana. So Mist Hollow Griffin can be exiled and then recast. It's going to give a quasi-vigilance. It's also going to shut down. It's also going to shut down the life gain, as it'll be able to block with Mist Hollow Griffin, then exile it for damage. Mist Hollow Griffin, more of a problem people realize if they haven't actually played against Food Chain, even if they don't have a kill. Just the ability to have a squad potentially of Mist Hollow Griffins. I don't know if Chris is on Manipulate Fate. 2-mana card that exiles 3 cards from your library and draws a card. That does set up your food chains quite nicely. Grabbing an Eternal Scourge and Mist Hollow Griffins. One in hand. Surprised he hasn't cashed in this Aether Spellbomb yet. There's our Manipulate Fate. Seemed very unlikely to me that that card has been outclassed or outmoded. Despite all the new printings, it does exactly what you want it to be doing. Now it's going to be infinite mana into the whole squad. Oh, and he's got the Walking Ballista anyways. Not necessary. He actually had it just with the Manipulate Fate. Walking Ballista goes up. I think the Pithing Needle probably was stopping the Ballista from just straight up winning, but the rest of the birds would have actually gotten there through the air anyways. I'll have the play. Couple of baubles, a Lotus Petal into Emery. Nice. Bring back Lotus Petal or bauble each turn. Cap a Cannoneer. And feels like it's a ways away from casting right now. It's come together very quickly at times. Old no lander for Emery. Still got to keep that. This potential draw engine. Going for Lotus Petal. Manipulate Fate. Make sure that any food chain draw is going to be very dangerous. I'll tell you, if they do print a card that can kill from exile, that would be pretty huge for this deck. Being able to go just from a Ice Fang up into Eternal Scourge, then Mist Hollow Griffin, then an actual kill. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that at some point. Castable card from exile. Prismatic Ending. Actually catch what Prismatic Ending did there. Got Emery and Sai. I can create a lot of value. Every one of these 0 casting cost artifacts, making a Thopter. Good thing he's legendary. Multiples of him would just be absolutely obnoxious. Worst case scenario, you've also got the ability to cash out some of those tokens to draw a card if they're not really doing their job. Or if they're, for example, stepping in the way of hacker, you can stack 1 token blocking plus another one. Or just block 2 creatures, I suppose. Stack them both to draw a card. Fury. Snags a Force of Will. Chris continues to dig. Storm plus fetch. Really needs to find a food chain. The deck's not likely to win without it. Probably one of the only criticisms levy at the deck. Thought Monitor draws a couple. Starting to make these land drops, and now Urza's Saga threatens to make some really big constructs. Kappa Cannoneer, certainly a threat in his own right. Now he can be hit at this point. He only has Ward 4. So Swords to Plowshares could take him out at just 5 mana. This could wrap up very quickly. Yeah, Swords is actually going to clear him. Feels pretty bad tempo-wise. You're already way behind. Facing down some legit damage and taking an entire turn cycle off. The Swords to Plowshares, a Kappa Cannoneer, and then he just comes right back anyways. Another one shows up. Not looking good for Chris. Mog's board state. Getting a little comical here. Chris considering his options, but this is a dangerous situation for sure. Ooh, Force of Vigor. Yeah, not the most efficient card when you have to pay an extra 4. So Force of Vigor takes out both the Thought Monitor and the Kappa Cannoneer. So a 2-for-2 trade. These constructs are still hanging around. Ooh, and Lightning Greaves. Sending for lethal. Actually a card that I mentioned to Mog a while back. Kappa Cannoneer first was introduced. Considering Lightning Greaves, I wonder how that's been for him. I believe he's trying it out as a one-of. Just the ability to give that guy haste. Yeah, we were talking here after a tournament. Wednesday or Friday night, we do Legacy every week. And just kind of musing on how, for sure, if there was a 1 casting cost Lightning Greaves, you'd 100% play it. Given that you can fetch it off of Urza's Saga, and whether or not it would be worth it at 2 mana. Be able to give your constructs or your Kappa Cannoneer haste. It seems strong. Certainly good there, closing the game out immediately. Yeah, constructs in Legacy, it's really interesting. In Vintage, obviously you have your Moxes, your Black Lotus, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt. Constructs are just more powerful in Vintage in general. Urza's Saga going to be more powerful the stronger the format, but also the stronger the deck in terms of its synergies. So I don't know if I've mentioned it this video. I'll just repeat myself if that's the case. But it's not a card that has symmetry. It really looks like it does. If both players have an Urza's Saga, then both people can make constructs, but all constructs are not equal. And when you're talking about a deck that's running Lotus Petal, Baubles, making Psi tokens, you do not want to be the worst Urza's Saga deck. It's not like Tarmogoyf where they bounce off of each other and they count the great cards in both players' graveyards. Here, you're taking a look at constructs that could potentially be, several points bigger in the very early stages of the game. Like here, if Chris was on food chain, his constructs would be garbage compared to what Mog would be able to do effortlessly here, as could have potentially 6 artifacts on board if he wanted. Those constructs could be 8/8s as early as turn 2. Side just doing some work here. 0 casting cost artifacts. And there we go, Urza Saga. I think I saw a flash of red. Urza Saga destroyed by Force of Vigor before being able to make a construct. It's interesting because, yeah, I think we do have Force of Will in Mog's hand. Is opting not to use it on that Force of Vigor. A little surprising. Not have been an unreasonable play, but also at this point being concerned about losing the game. Food chain can just win out of nowhere. Wow. Force of Willing a Brainstorm there. With the fetch land on board, thinking it's just got too much potential value. The 3 tokens can attack. Sai is going to stay home. Now it's up to 4 tokens thanks to Lotus Petal. And it looks like an Energy Flux, which gets bounced by the new Obora? No, that's not it. Obora is the old blue one. This is like Otawara. Energy Flux would be a huge problem. Chris likely going to have to go for it again. Might get countered. Don't imagine any situation where Mog doesn't expend his last 2 cards to protect from that Energy Flux. This card is an absolute wrecking ball versus this deck. Did try Kataki at one point in Vintage over Energy Flux, and they are not comparable Magic cards. Energy Flux, much, much more dangerous. Sai, all of these small creatures teaming up. Chris hoping to draw a food chain. Like he's got it. Oh, he's got a food chain. Wow. Food chain into Ice Fang. Ice Fang. Is he going to get there? Into Uro. Gains 3. Draws another card. Now he's able to fetch. That Uro allowing this fetch to happen. Ponder, one of the best cards you could have other than Mist Hollow Griffin. I mean, in terms of finding what you need, if you can't get what you want, Ponder's the closest thing to it here, giving you 4 looks at a card that'll actually save you. Another Ice Fang. And then Manipulate Fate at the end without the mana to cast it. Just food chain mana. Wow. Mog gets that one on to game number 3. He knows about Energy Flux. I don't know that there's a whole lot that he can do about it. Just a brutal card in general. No, actually, no, that was game number 3. Yeah, they forgot about the hasty construct game win there with Lightning Greaves. So, yeah, Mog takes that one down and makes it to the finals here. Very dangerous new list with 8 cast.